Hi, Stampy friends. Today I am making a mess, but it's a pretty mess, I assure you. So I am making swaps. I need to make quite a few, and I didn't think to film it. I'm already halfway done. So I stopped myself before finishing the last few swaps because I think it turned out to be such a pretty card and I really enjoyed making it. So I wanted to show you what I made. This is a new stamp set. It's called Scenic Adventures, and it has really pretty fonts and sayings, really nice for various reasons. I think it'd be nice for someone who is moving on to another adventure, or let the journey begin. Someone who's moving away is kind of where my heart's at. I have my neighbor of over 20 years, well, maybe quite almost 20 years, is moving. And, so that's kind of a sad thing for me. But anyway, or someone who's retiring, or a graduate too, actually. You're amazing, let the journey begin, here's to a new adventure. Really nice saying. So cute. This here is really pretty clouds. It's just kind of like make your own thing. This could be kind of like waves maybe, or some kind of just landing ground background under some trees, just whatever you want it to be. Really fun. But the dies are what got me thinking, because I love this tree line here. This is kind of a line of trees, a tree line. And I think this is a really fun. I've made several, I teach watercolor, and I've done several of these kind of tree lines in the distance, in some backgrounds, and I just think this die reminded me of that, and I really loved it. Also, I think this little campfire is super cute. You've got logs and a little fire. This cuts out a moon like in the background and adds some little holes, so you could kind of have this be a sky, a mountain range, and there's two different ones so you can layer. Here's some more just kind of texture. It doesn't cut anything out, but it's adding some texture, so you can add some texture like a sea, water rippling, flowers, some little grasses, and of course big trees. So this die is what sold me even more so than the stamp set. So I really enjoyed that. And in my swaps, we're supposed to use new products, and there's about, I think there's 15 of us participating. We're all demonstrators, and we all make 15 of the same card. Actually, we do two different, so that's 30 of the 30 cards, 15 of two different. And we each have to choose a different stamp set, so that we're getting samples in the mail of all these different kinds. So I'm gonna send my swaps off, and then I get back 30 different cards. Isn't that fun? So this is what I did with the Scenic Adventure, and I got it straight from watercolor projects that I've done in the past. So I've got these fun little tree line. I decided to go with big bright colors, and I wanted to use this new Secret Sea. This is a brand new color, and I'm not sure exactly how it's going to come up on camera. If it's going to look, it looks kind of like a navy, but not quite. It has some green undertones in it, and it's just a really pretty neutral. Grayish, bluish, greenish. It reminds me of a color called Payne's Gray in painting, and it's just really pretty, and I like it a lot. So I used it on my samples here, and it's funny, I was starting to cut all my pieces, and I was so worried at the end I would run out of paper, and look at all I have left. It's a brand new pack, and I've already used it. So luckily I have some more coming. So I'm also using Berry Burst Shaded Spruce. The background here is Lemon Lime Twist, and then Secret Sea. And so to make this card, I wanted it to look like a Polaroid kind of an idea, which is another thing we're doing in watercolor classes. We're making little vacation Polaroids. Hey, if you live in the Elmhurst area in Illinois, come to a Park District watercolor class. Anyway, this is a card we're going to make. And so I wanted to do these little Polaroids, and those I have already, let's see if I have any more sitting around here somewhere. Here's one. All right, so basically these are 4 1/4 by 3 1/2, I believe. Yes, 4 1/4 by 3 1/2, and then I stamped at the bottom, and I already did that because I didn't realize that I was going to make a video. So it's just got cheers to another adventure, and then you've also got things like cheers to another journey. On the inside of the card, which I also already did, you've got this here. It says let the, and then there's a space, and then the word begin, and that's all on one stamp, like so. I almost finished this one. Let the, and then there's a space, begin, and then you can put something like journey or adventure. So I've got adventure on the outside, and I'm going to put the word journey on the inside. And then I decided to do a different color, so I have the let the and the begin in secret C. So then I'm going to add journey, and I forgot to stamp one, so I'm going to do that with you. Let the journey, and I'm going to put that in the middle, like so. And then I added one of the trees from the stamp set here on the side, just to kind of bring the trees from the front of the card to the inside. Okay, so let me show you how I created those elements. And how I did that was, as you can probably guess, watercolor, because that's what I'm thinking about today. Okay, so I have scraps of watercolor paper left around my desk, and these I kind of looked for ones that were 3 inches, and I had quite a few actually. And I think I need 1, 2, 3, 4. No, only 3 more. So I need at least 3 blue backgrounds. I have a little bit left of my shaded spruce and lemon lime twist. So I don't think I need any more of this, because I've got one here. All right, so I'm going to show you how I did this. I put some ink into, and these are just our refills. I'm using Blueberry Bushel. I think I forgot to mention Blueberry Bushel. I put some ink in a little well here, and I'm using 5 colors, and I didn't have 5 wells, so I just put some on a block, and you can do them all on blocks. It's just kind of a way to put them out so you can add water easily. This is Berry Burst. That one I do need a lot of. All right, and then I brought out a flat wash brush. I'm going to do the lighter color first. Actually, I'm going to do the red, and I know I need 3, let's see, it's 3 inches. I need these to be blue, so I need these to be pink. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to dip it in the water, and I'm just going to, I wanted to wet this first, so I'm going to wet this down. And because I made these earlier, this is why I'm kind of starting with the lighter colors, because I'm going off to the side. I could get a new piece of paper. And then I'm going to just really saturate this color on here and get it nice and berry burst. And I just really enjoy doing this step here. Now, I want this to be really colorful, so I'm going to put in some more, just let it bleed. I like to wet the paper down first, because if you don't, when you first put that ink onto the paper, you might get like a deep stain that doesn't want to blend in. And so it's nice to kind of first wet the paper so that you don't get that. Like I almost have that right there, but it's okay. I like variation, so you can paint in a nice smooth wash so that you don't have these variations in tone, but I like the variations in tone, so I'm gonna kind of hit it with some water and have a light area, and then I'm gonna hit it with heavier ink and have a dark area. And I like that because I want it to not look like cardstock, like plain Berry Burst cardstock. Now you can make this exact card using cardstock instead of painting, if painting's not your thing. But I enjoy this, so that's what I'm doing. All right, let me put that one aside and rinse off this Berry Burst. And I think I have enough lemon lime twist, although I don't know that this one's dark enough for me. So let me add a little bit more here. I'm going to kind of come over to the side because I want my colors to be very deep. So I'm going to add some more ink on there. I'm going for bold here, bold colors. So I think that's enough for the rest of my cards. And then I think I have plenty of shaded spruce. But again, I could deepen. So this one's done already, and if I decide that that's not quite dark enough, I can always come in and deepen it like so. I don't mind this one though. I think he's dark enough. Let's see. It is pretty when it's darker though. It's such rich colors. I really love these royal colors together. I think I said shaded spruce, blueberry bushel, lemon lime twist, and berry burst. And then I used Secret Sea also. Was that dark enough? Let's just go ahead and give it some more oomph. Ooh, that's fun. When I made these earlier, my hands were so, because I've made, I think I only need 3 more, so I must have made 12 because I need 15. Okay, so I've got shaded spruce. Let that dry. And then what I really need is a little bit of, I think I only need 2 more of this one, so let's see how much space that needs. I'll have to come down a little bit more in my Secret Sea. Now see how it looks kind of blue when it goes down, so pretty. But then when it dries, you get a little bit of that green. I think it's beautiful. All right, so let's do that. And then I need blueberry bushel. So let's see if this is enough to finish these. Ooh, I should have wet down. So that is going to be that dark spot that I was talking about, how if you don't wet the paper down first, you're going to get a streak, and look what I did. So I'm going to see, I'm going to go ahead and finish it, and then hope that, I'm just going to wet the rest out, hope that the mountain covers that. I can kind of put that towards the bottom. See what I'm talking about? You can really see that, right? That's where the brush stroke hit, and that is not gonna fade in. Sometimes you can make it fade in. Like here it was wet, so I was able to fade it in, but that's not gonna happen. But that's okay. I'm gonna cut it. I need 3 inches, so I'm gonna cut it here, and then this will be the underside, and I'll have that be the top. All right, so I'm gonna let that dry, and I think I need to do this too in blueberry bushel. Now, if you don't want your hands to get dirty, you can cut your pieces a little bigger than needed and then trim them down. I'm using scraps, and I found a bunch that were 3 inches, so I want to use them. Otherwise, so my hands are getting kind of inky. So I'm being a little bit careful by using my fingers, but they're still getting inky. All right, so let's get some more blueberry bushel going. I love watching that spread like that. It's so fun. I might need a little more blueberry bushel because I added a lot of water. Let's get 1 more drop. And I think this is all I need. I think that'll do it. And then we're gonna cut, and then I'll show you how I layered everything up. Okay. So you can go ahead and heat dry these if you want. I'm gonna let them sit for a minute, and go ahead and clean up my mess. I think I mentioned before, I have these pieces cut 4 1/4 by 3 1/2. I have several of those, and then I've got all those little watercolor pieces. I also pre-cut some of these little, oh, I might need another one of those too. Okay, so let's find the dies we're going to use. I am using this mountain, these trees. So what I'm going to do, this tree line is kind of fun because you can actually cut it in such a way that uses both sides. Let me show you what I mean. Ooh, I almost made a mess. I almost put this directly in my paint. I'm going to put this down like this. And then I can use both sides of the tree line. So I'm going to use both of them. So I'm just going to cut it here. And now I've got two. I think I needed three. I have one, and I still have this, which I can use on something else. So I'm going to save my little watercolor scraps because those are so fun. Okay, so same with this one. I'm going to go ahead and stick it down. Now the mountain, I'm going to try to get 3 out of this piece. So again, these are 3 inches across. And now the mountain die has like textures in it. Can you see? It's kind of fun. All right, so I'm going to turn it this way so I can squeeze out more mountains than if I didn't nest them like that. I think these are really fun. Like, look at this mountain, how you've got, because I painted instead of just using cardstock, I've got highs and lows, like darks and lights in here, and it's just really fun. All right, I need one more mountain, so I think I'm going to try to go this way. All right, I'll cut those off, and then what else do I still need? I need some of that. This one, the Secret Sea. And it's got this like little foliage. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that. And see how this one has like little detail of grass and stuff. Okay, and then I need one more tree, I think. Let me see. I'm trying to conserve my paper because I love it. I need one more tree. All right, I'm gonna have to cut this last piece. None of my scraps are big enough. It's so hard to cut that last piece. All right, hopefully my next pack will get here kind of soon, so I'll be all right. All right, so here's how we're going to put these together. I need a base that's 3 by 3. So let's do that. All right, so now I'm going to take that sky piece and start to layer. All right. I cut a little bit off of this one. just need a little bit to show at the top. So I'm going to start to just layer these up. And then I'm going to go with the lemon lime twist. And shaded spruce. Now, you know how I used some of them facing one way? You know, I took them and I cut them apart, and that's kind of good for two reasons. It also changes up the tree line a little bit, so you can also shift the tree line die down a little bit so that you don't end up with all the trees on top of each other. Then this way you kind of see some peeking out from behind, and by shifting those dies a little bit or using both sides of the die cut, you're going to end up with that fun variety. And this is just going to cap off the bottom. It's just some up close. So you got some distant trees, some up close foliage. Let me do that. Okay, once these are dry, I'm going to take them to my cutter and just kind of trim off the excess, because like I said, these were scraps and not all perfect, and that'll help clean up any little ragged edges. So I'm going to do that and be right back. Next, I'm going to go ahead and take some baker's twine and tie around these little squares, and I'm going to go ahead and make just a little bow. All right, once I get them on here, then I'm gonna kind of fix them. And I like to do that by kind of putting my hand down on the knot and then pulling the twine. And that kind of helps it from loosening too much and curling. All right, and then I'll trim. Okay, now these little squares have a lot of layers and they're a little bit heavy, and I want them to lay flat. And because they're watercolored, sometimes, although these are dried pretty nice, sometimes watercolor makes the paper bow. So normally I don't have to use tear tape for every layer, but I'm going to today just because I want these to stay down and I don't want them to curl. So I'm going to go edge to edge on all of these. So it's a little overkill with the adhesive, but I know they won't curl and they'll lay nice and flat. And I also like to put adhesive over the baker's twine so it stays in place too. So when it's going in and out of the envelope, it doesn't kind of, you know, the edge doesn't get pulled when the card's going in and out and then kind of gets skewed. So I've got it like this. And then, like I said, this is meant to look a little bit like a Polaroid. So we're going to bias it towards the top, like so. And then our little tree comes over to the side, and that's going to go down. You can use some liquid glue on this one, and just kind of find some spots to stick it down. And then what I did was I made sure to, I didn't like the look of the twine through the background, so I made sure to put it past a solid spot. All right, and what I like to do when I'm putting something down on something bumpy, I stick block on it. So there is my, and here's the rest. I made so many of these. Cheers to another adventure. Scenic Adventure Bundle from Stampin' Up. I think this is a really fun card. I hope it gives off that Polaroid vibe. Tell me what you think. I hope you like the watercolor. I like how they're all different. And I think it just looks really fun. I mean, you could totally use cardstock if watercolor's not your thing and get a really fun effect as well. The cardstock is beautiful. But I just thought watercolor would be a fun thing to do this afternoon. It rained all day. So maybe I was in a water mood. Thanks so much for watching. I hope that you'll give me a comment, a like, subscribe, all of that good stuff. I appreciate you. Thanks. Bye-bye.